What'd you do? You didn't hit it, huh?
Nope. 2, 1.
You hit the wrong button. Oh, come on, I'm sorry, I don't know this stuff.
This is what it's like taking your brother with you when you travel. Did you do that?
I don't know.
Okay.
I'm not into computers, guys. I'm really sorry.
Howdy. Welcome back to Dion Talk. What is it like to reach financial freedom, to retire early, to have all of your time back? David, my brother, who is very hard to get on camera for a few reasons,
Oh, camera shy, man.
is spending a month with me in Portugal.
Month and a week.
A month and a week. It was going to be a month or 3, but we decided fairly quickly that it was only going to be a month. And I'm going to be doing an interview with Business Insider talking about why I decided not to invest in Portugal. And when I do that, I'm definitely sharing his address so that when the Portuguese hunt me down for what I say, they're going to find you. Because it's not the property. The properties here are nice. The landscape is nice. The weather's great. It's literally the people. It's going to a couple of things with the laws here, but the people are the problem.
Not all of them. I think the topless one on the beaches are a nice distraction. I could say that on TV.
No, you're not supposed to.
Oh, no, sorry, guys.
So
Vacation.
I'm kidding. You can say whatever you want. Hard enough to get you on here, so I want you to say whatever you want to say.
All right. I apologize.
Actually, what's funny is we started this live. This is the second time we started this live, so I'm not actually sure what happened the first time. And in the comments below or in the live chat, ask us questions about what to do after you reach financial freedom, because David's been retired for about 8 years. He worked and ran a business full time. He had 50, 60 hour weeks that he bought rentals and he did the rehabs himself. So you're talking another 5, 6 hours a day added on top of that. And then I thought you were crazy.
I am a little bit.
Right. And so one day he flipped a switch and he shut down his tree service, and the 10 paid off rentals were in place. All the rehabs were done. You haven't had to do much work to them since, a little bit here and there. But I worked 50 or 60 hours a week running a CDL school. We both raised kids. David has a couple, I had 3. And all of a sudden, our kids are over 18. You don't have that work schedule. You have all of this time. What do you do? So right now, we're spending, it was going to be a month or 3. We've decided a little over a month here in Portugal. We're headed back. We're going to take a short trip to California. After that is a month or 3 in Thailand. I've got a cruise in September, and then both of us have to decide where we're going to spend the winter.
Shouldn't be too hard. Anywhere where it's not cold works for me.
Right. It's kind of like that endless summer. You could literally chase the right weather. And instead of buying in Portugal, what I think I'm going to be doing is buying some more cash flowing rentals that I take that money and allocate it towards living expenses in other countries. And then I just kind of travel around. I'll still be here on YouTube. You can obviously do this from anywhere. We spent most of our time here in Portugal in hotels this last week. We are in a hostel where, and I shared this on the first video, which I'm not sure if that actually went live or not, but every night they give you all the wine you can drink. It's part of the dinner. You get all the wine you can drink. And so David has skipped it every day. We've gone out somewhere else to eat.
I'm not a wine drinker, man.
Except for today. With the day we decided to do the video today, it's all the beer you can drink.
Now that works.
So, but you're trapped here. I did get you one, and they give you one for later.
Very
so. 8 years of retirement. Once you get all your first time, you still have all of your tree equipment from your tree service. It's like your safety blanket, you said, right, Dave?
Yeah, it's a security blanket. It's something I could fall back on. You never know what life's going to throw at you. You may as well be ready for it.
Right. My intent is to never work a W-2 job again in my life, but I am keeping a CDL. Part of it is, just like you have things implode, you can go back to running a tree service. If things implode, I can go drive a truck. It's like worst case scenario. So our worst case scenarios is most people's every day. That's the thing with reaching financial freedom. The thing that you actually kind of feel bad about, every time we go out somewhere and you see somebody working who's, closer to our age or maybe even older, and you think that person hates going to work every day. Getting up when you don't have to work in your 50s is not easy. But if you have to work, That sucks. So you actually kind of feel bad for the people that are trapped. And I see this on social media all the time, especially when Business Insider articles come out, like the one that came out on Zuberg this week. They relisted one on me. I'm doing the one next week on what it's like to buy in Portugal or not buy in Portugal and why I'm not buying in Portugal. But all the haters come out. There's no way you can do this now. There's no way that, a younger person could ever get a house. So Google this. At the age of 25, we have baby boomers, Gen X, millennials, Gen Z, then I think it's Gen Y, the new one, that whatever label we're going to put on the next several generations. The Gen Z owns the most homes at the age of 25 right now of all of the generations. More than Gen X, more than I think baby boomers had a higher percentage. It's like 30 or something for 25-year-olds right now, 30%. So, and then a lot of people say, well, they're waiting for the crash because millennials have to wait for the crash to buy a house. And the largest group of home buyers that purchased houses last year was millennials at 43% of home purchases. The year before it was 37. So now it's 43. So it's increased. So whenever you see the haters come out about how it's impossible, housing's unaffordable, remember two things. First, housing is affordable, just not where they want to live. And right now with remote working, housing is affordable in more places than at any point in our lives.
Sure.
Yeah, PJ, I see the capitalism comments had you laughing, but they had me laughing too. And it's really hard not to attack back on social media, right? Business Insider does an article and they want to talk about your financial freedom, you retiring early. If they did a story on David, the haters would come out and say, you were only able to do this because of, they say things like, you don't have a job, you're living off of the sweat equity of the people who have jobs, and being a landlord isn't a job. Well, no kidding.
Yeah, I don't know. Everybody needs a place to live, and providing somebody with a decent place to live, I just don't feel bad about that.
No, and then you hear slumlord stories where I've seen your properties, you take care of them, you do the rehabs yourself most of the times, unless it's like a super technical electrical or plumber thing.
Right.
But I completely understand the frustration. So you don't want to attack the people that are saying, you can tell they're just coming from a place of pain. They're like, I'm too lazy to do anything, so let me blame this person who is successful.
Right.
That's what I see out of that. The first year you retired, you closed down your business and you had all your rentals done. What did you do?
Well, I can't remember all their names, but they were pretty.
I can't take you anywhere.
No, I basically just kicked back for a year, just traveled around with my motorhome, and I got all kinds of toys I dragged behind it, and I took a good year to just go out and have fun. Didn't have to worry about being professional with my tree service anymore. It was just nice to just let it all hang loose, have fun.
How did you feel the first time a couple of your customers that you had serviced for years, go back to the same tree, 5-6 years or whatever called, reached out and said, hey, we're ready for you to come and do that 5th year return on our yard, and you had to say,
that's difficult. I had to put my customers in the hands of my competition, and some of them were good, some of them weren't, and I do feel bad about that. I had good customers, and you do feel like you let them down, but it was time, and they understand.
Yeah, it's a little difficult when the company that I worked at, anytime they reach out with questions and they, how did you do this? How did you solve this? How did you handle this problem? To not go, well, I can come back and do it. Right. You just have to, at some point, you have to hand that off to the next people. Kind of like, did you know, I'm not going to ask you questions because I don't want you to answer. In the comments, I've talked about it on this channel before, where social security came from. Have I ever told you where it came from?
Not really. No, I don't think I have, actually.
So, in Germany, long time before our social security program came out, people worked until they were really old. And the problem wasn't that they were working when they were old. Like, nobody cared. The problem was there wasn't enough job for the youth. So if you go back and you watch a movie like Clockwork Orange, when people don't have things to do, jobs to do, things to keep them busy, they get into trouble. They cause trouble. So in Germany, the way to solve one of the social problems was to go to older people and say, we will pay you to leave the workforce. We'll literally give you money if you stop working, so we can have jobs for younger people. It kind of solved one of their big problems.
Hmm.
And then it turned into what we have now, where it feels like an entitlement. So much so that if you're in France and they say we're going to raise the age that you can get your Social Security from 62 to 64, they have riots or protests or whatever they were called. In the US, they keep pushing it back years and years later. And so the solution for Social Security is to do what David and I did. Make it not matter. Like, you're going to get it when you get to the age. I'm going to get it when we get to the age, but who cares? It's going to be some extra on top of financial freedom that you've had for years.
That's true. When I first started my tree service, I was 17, and I was told right off the bat, don't trust Social Security. It will not be there when you're of age. And I'm glad somebody told me that, because I honestly have never thought about it. It'll be nice when it comes in. I mean, I've earned it, I've paid into it. And if it doesn't come in, I'm fine. It works.
So here's something to think about. If you've been hearing, because you're 25 and you hear Social Security won't be there when you get older. You went to high school. I went to high school in the 80s.
Right.
It was early 80s when you went, right?
Yep, graduated in 80.
Okay, so early 80s, right? What have you heard since high school? Since high school, since you were in high school, what have you heard about Social Security?
Basically, they just wouldn't be there.
So that's not new. It's been coming out. They've been saying that for decades on decades on decades.
Right.
So one of the most important things, first of all, is to make it not matter. Second, if you can do math, you should take it at 62 instead of 67. A lot of things that are coming around that people think are brand new, like, so Google this at some point, because I might make a video on this. It's not really on my topic, so I might not do this. But the history of people don't want to work. Newspaper articles on people don't want to work. You can see Facebook posts right now and people don't want to work. It goes back every couple of decades into the 1800s. There were articles on people don't want to work. So that's not a new thing either. Nobody wants to work.
Sure.
People like to do things that feel rewarding, and sometimes you're compensated for it. Howdy, Dividend Dave, All Nighter Hider, PJ, JR, I see everybody showing up here. I appreciate it. Dave's in Bellingham. Dave is going with us. Dividend Dave is going with us to the event in Portland.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. Suggested a Lake Erie trip for Steelhead. Where'd you go? So All Nighter is going up to Alaska for fishing. David is big into fishing, spent some time on Alaska boats doing that. I would do that, but I'm the lazy one.
The walleye in Lake Erie are pretty good too. Caught some of those.
Nice. We went today. Normally we've been exploring beaches and mountains and trails, but here we actually went and explored in cities, but neither one of us are city people. And we found a mega mall, like 7 stories, everything. And they had like 5 or 6 fish things in there. And I got videos of these huge eels and all these weird, we're right on the coast here. So everything, is kind of fish related when it comes to food.
Yeah, there were things I wouldn't eat. Somebody's eating them.
So this might be a question that's hard to answer without pictures or a video, but I'm gonna give you a shot. Dave, what's a ballpark cost to remove a dead tree about 2 stories tall? Absentee owner next door isn't answering request to take it down.
I can't answer that. There's so many things that factor in. And I just recommend that you get 2 or 3 estimates and go with somebody in your neighborhood. That's the best advice I can give you.
Yep, I mean, having not run a tree service, but grown up as the slave labor of the tree service that you, Dale and Dad had, because
right.
And that's why I joined the Marine Corps. Get at least 3 estimates. I recommend using the Thumbtack app. There are arborists on Thumbtack that can give you quotes. 2 things though. First, make sure that they have the right insurance. So go to the state website to check that their insurance is current. Second, send a registered letter to the absentee landlord if you can find them, because if the tree does damage your property, it goes on your insurance claim unless you can prove you let the owner know that it was a problem before it fell on your house.
And it's no longer an act of God. The one thing I can recommend, and it may help you, may not, get a hold of a place that sells firewood, because some of those guys are very good with saws, and if there's room to fall the tree, they may fall it, take the wood away, free of charge usually. You may have a little bit of brush to clean up, but you could hire somebody to haul that, and might just save you a lot of money. Just make sure they're insured. That's very important. If they're not insured, then go with the tree service.
Daniel, howdy, Dan. Did we invite Dan to that? I think I did in a text message. He never answered me. Looking good. Time to get back to Washington. Need a drinking buddy. I don't think you've had trouble. You just got back from Mexico, Dan. Like, there was plenty of drinking there. Every picture you sent was just a bar.
His hangover's gone by now, I'm sure.
John, great to see the brothers. Did either of you make an offer in Portugal? We did some research in Portugal on where we would purchase, the region that we would purchase in, the type of property that we would purchase, and then there's a couple of factors, John, that stopped us, either one of us, from deciding to invest here. One, David's not going to invest here because he thought if I did, he could just come and stay anyway. So
Why not?
But two, and John, maybe you've seen this in the previous video, but the people here, I think if you come here expecting this, you'll have a better experience than I did. I didn't expect this, and I didn't see it in any video until I searched like the specific terms of why is everyone in Portugal in such a bad mood? Why is everyone here so depressed? Why is somebody so angry and dismissive and condescending? Basically, it's like you could say hi to somebody and they will, like, if he said hi to me right now, they just go.
That's very true.
Like worse than you're not there. The fact that you're there means they have to look that way. And then I did some research and I talked to a few people here, and we have found some really happy people. Most of them seem to be traveling people.
Exactly.
People from here.
I zero in on the tourists.
Right.
They're here to have fun too.
Right. And we found out that they celebrate sadness. There's actually a word in Portuguese that doesn't translate into English into one word. It's called saudade. 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 Scott sent me an article about it. So then I started researching, went down the rabbit hole of that. And if I knew that coming here, I might not have been such a culture shock. Like there are simple things that are culture shock, right? Like bathroom lights on the outside for some reason. What else was a culture? Beer is cheaper than water, which
that's tough.
oh my God, put up with. There's things like that, but the people just being as they are, that's the main reason I'm not buying here. The second reason is both the licensed and unlicensed agents that I talked to have said you report whatever price the seller wants to list, no matter what you pay, so that they pay less taxes. And then the agent gets a 4% or a 5% fee. If they're licensed, they get 5%. If they're not licensed, they get 4% commission. And everyone does it. Kind of like in the US, if you buy a car, some people will report that the transmission doesn't work, even if it does, and say that they paid like it was a gift or free to pay less taxes. And it just seems like it's such a risk here that I don't know that I would buy in a country that has such, from Doctor Who, wibbly wobbly lawy stuff. And while prison is the ultimate house hack, it is not my retirement plan. So we have not made any offers.
I don't know. Another thing is I'm not a city person at all. But you get outside the city and there's graffiti everywhere. As far as we've went, I mean, it's also in the city, especially the large one. But I mean, you just barely leave the coastal towns and it's graffiti absolutely everywhere.
So we went today on probably a 7 or 8 mile hike, according to my phone. And as we're just lost in Fado, it's one of the bigger cities. It's where the airport is. It's kind of like our last wrap up city because we want to be close to the airport to get out of here and get back to happy people. So when we see you in Washington, please be in a good mood. How did we find our place? We were walking around completely lost in the city. What did we see that told us, oh, I know where we are?
Graffiti.
The one big, huge building right in the middle of the city that's just completely empty, boarded up, broken down, roof caved in, whole wall covered in graffiti.
I stepped out of the car, looked at that, and I thought, oh, great. What did my brother get me into this time?
David is an Elvis Presley song fan, and he started singing in the ghetto.
In the ghetto.
And I thought, oh, if they get shot, there's a good reason for that.
Oh, well, we haven't been killed yet.
So David, who lives very close to Seattle, thinks that this place looks bad. Process everything that I was just saying there. Okay. Seattle has, acres and acres of homeless camps, and there are parts of the cities here that are really nice, but as soon as you get out, it's either a closed off compound house that's really nice, or it looks like a war zone.
Exactly.
Beaches are nice though. We've had some nice beach
The
times.
beaches are very nice.
Yeah.
I like the beaches that they're small and there's tunnels in between the beaches that you walk through to get to the next beach. And you never know what those beaches are gonna be. I went through, 5 or 6 of them. Went through the last one and for a brief moment there, I was the only one with clothes on. Quick remedy for that.
Gotta fix that.
Stayed there a couple hours. It was fun.
Is the graffiti here artsy? There are some that are amazing. I had some pictures of some that I thought were good. There's some of the graffiti is artsy, and you could tell somebody took time and did a mural, but most of it is just tags.
Very much so. Yeah, it's just sad to see. And beautiful buildings, just graffiti all over them. And
That is a Portuguese whale. That's what it feels like when you're here. It just seems like everything is covered in graffiti, and it's tagged names and half done because it looks like they got caught, and on cement that's crumbling. Most of the buildings, the roofs have caved. It looks like Gary, Indiana. You go down one street, there's 2 buildings that are good and 8 that have just completely fallen apart. And you go to the next street and there's 8 that are good and 2 that are falling apart. So I think it's safer to invest in Gary than here. Duchess, that's great of you, Artie. Thank you. Look, make sure there's no questions here. Okay. So,
with all the graffiti and everything, I mean, we're making it sound bad, and it is bad. But the people, they're rude and everything, but I've never felt threatened. I've walked down some alleys that you wouldn't get away with in LA or other parts of the world, but not once have I felt threatened. Maybe it's because I don't understand what they're saying. I think they're saying hi, but really, it's kind of nice over here for that.
yeah. In the Algarve, I don't know about the rest of Portugal. We really spent all of our time in the Algarve, which is like 100-mile beach coastline on the southern edge of Portugal. I think we were, like you said, even in the dark alley kind of thing, you feel safe everywhere. There's not a lot of police, because you don't see them very often, but we haven't seen any incidences. Almost every Uber driver here, there's been a couple that don't like foreigners. But most of the Uber drivers were from Brazil, and apparently in Brazil they speak Portuguese, and here they speak Portuguese, and the two cultures don't really get along because Portuguese people, the explanation was, are quiet and reserved, and Brazil people are gregarious, and that doesn't mix. But the Brazilian Uber drivers were here to escape the violence in Brazil, which doesn't seem to exist here.
Right.
So if you're looking for a safe country to invest with good weather, nice beaches, and you're not a people person, I'm not a people person, but I don't like rude people more than I don't like regular people. So I don't know that maybe I will come back here, maybe, but I don't know that I'm definitely not investing here. Shred, howdy. The big island of Hawaii feels the same. Refrigerators in every ditch. Yeah. Yeah. Also, David also goes to Hawaii often. Especially since you retired. That's not something I've done and don't really care to.
I like Maui. Maui's a great island.
Too bad financial firefighter's not here. There's a guy who lives in Hawaii that owns a bunch of rentals. So the first year you goofed off, and what did you do for the last 7 years?
Yeah, goof off.
That's what I've seen. I've seen you have Sea-Doo, motorcycle, quads, RV.
True.
Missing something.
And it's scuba and whitewater kayak, although I haven't done that in a while, so probably take that off the list, but I got all my gear. It's just when you got the time and you got the stuff, why not go out and use it? It's a lot of fun. It really truly is.
Do you miss work?
I'm one of those weird guys that does a little bit. I like climbing trees. It was fun. I enjoy what I'm doing a little bit more. I really do.
Right. So if you hear somebody who's retired talk about how they missed work, how they do currently miss work.
Right.
You could go back. So obviously you don't miss it more than you enjoy this.
And I've got a brother down in Southern California that runs a tree service, and once in a while I go climb a tree for him just to do it. Because it really is fun. I mean, that's why I was a tree man. I truly enjoyed it.
And once in a while I go and get a lounge chair and I sit out there and I watch him do it.
There you go.
I don't miss work. I don't have that gene.
Yeah.
I miss the company. It's like everyone talks about when you retire, all of a sudden you stop hanging out with the same people. The people that you think are your friends or family at work, you realize are not. I mean, you had a company that you were running, so it was a little bit different. You closed it down.
Right.
Trying to think of maybe 3 people that I still interact with from the company I worked at with, which was okay. But right now I'm telling you, if you think your company needs you, your coworkers need you, think of all of the people that have worked where you work, that you've interacted with over the years, and they leave. And they could leave a big hole in your team. It could be your HR person that leaves, and all of a sudden people have to learn 3 or 4 new skills to cover whatever they were doing. It goes on. Like you will be a blip on the radar, no matter who you are, no matter what you did for the company. And you might miss it, but you are going to enjoy time freedom more. I can't imagine anybody not. The thing is, though, don't retire super frugal. If you have to be frugal, don't retire. It probably takes you $2,000 or $3,000 a month to live. You're raking in like 12, right? So you have this cushion that grows every month. So you can literally we're going to take this trip here. We're doing everything that we want to here, taking any excursion we want to here, staying anywhere we want. This literally, we're not in a hostel to save money. We're in a hostel because we wanted to see what this was like. And it was eye-opening. If you have to save money, retirement can probably suck.
Okay.
You don't think?
No, I'm coming from I think saving money is a good idea. I mean, that's how I purchase houses.
Well, right.
But
so if you only had $3,000 a month coming in from your rentals, that was it, how would your retirement be?
it wouldn't be any fun.
No fuel, no travel, no airfare, no eating out, no nothing, right? So it would kind of suck. So
Sure.
I'm not saying that saving is wrong. Like I put that in the title of a video that he still doesn't like. Because you're I don't want to say you, because I don't put words in your mouth, but you're kind of still stuck in saving mode.
Right.
Right. And it's really actually hard to learn how to spend money. I think that's the hardest thing about after reaching financial freedom and saying, okay, now we can go do anything we want. We still both are sitting back going, okay, so this much money comes in every month that I can add to the stack to buy the next asset. Instead of I have all this money coming in, what can I do to spend it?
That's true.
And I did talk in my last live stream about you saying that you would like to find a girl to help you spend all your money, but you can't find one you can tolerate.
Gotta be one out there somewhere. I haven't given up, man.
All right, well, keep playing for the right team. Tony Carr, howdy. Thank you very much for the super chat. I appreciate that. Question for your brother. This is for you. Okay. Did you normally pay off the HELOC when the property was completed, rent ready to move on to the next? Are you still looking to invest in real estate? So start with the first one. Between purchases, did you pay off the HELOC?
Usually I did. Once in a while, another property would come up and it was just too good to be true. So I would jump on another one. But I don't like paying interest, so I pay off my HELOCs as quick as I possibly can. Once I got rolling, it was a little bit different. And like we said, I do all kinds of things with all the toys that I got and everything. Now, when I buy a property, I factor in the fact that I'll have positive cash flow coming in to purchase my next toy. The tenants will pay for the property. Along with that, the positive cash flow goes towards a toy, a new quad, a new jet ski. Right now, believe it or not, I'm shooting for a truck now, and I've got the money to buy that truck. But I've also got the money to purchase another house and let that rental buy that truck for me. So when I'm done, I'm going to have a house that's still paying me good money, a truck that I want. And for me, it just seems simple, but I've brought that little concept of many people and nobody seems to do it. It works out. I do work on a 5-year plan, and once in a while when I get like the truck, it's gonna take me a little bit longer to pay the house off in 5 years. But hey, I'm gonna have that truck, man. Really looking forward to it.
The great thing with working with somebody who's a little senile is that you can insult them and sometimes they don't realize it. The really great thing with working with David is, I want you to think, if you're watching this video and you're running the numbers and you have a spreadsheet and you're calculating yield and you're looking at every expense versus what the interest rate is, what the rents are going to be, and you have all of this huge mountain of analysis paralysis keeping you trapped in place. I've still never once been able to explain the concept of yield to David. It doesn't matter. He was able to reach financial freedom without even having that on his plate. So if you're stuck in trying to find the best yield, maybe we're overthinking it. What David did was, this is going to have cash flow. It's going to make me money every month. That doesn't look at how much I'm using to get it. I'm going to be able to pay off the HELOC, and I'm going to have this cash flow that's producing income. And then you literally have an asset for every expense. You have the one that pays for the CEDU, and the CEDU is paid for. Now it's continuing to generate income. And you have the one that pays for healthcare, and I have a vehicle duplex. I have a vehicle duplex, healthcare duplex, alcohol fourplex. Like, I just kind of listed them all out in a row, which one does each thing. Right. So the next one that I purchase is probably going to be the traveling small multifamily. Whichever I buy is going to pay for the housing when I travel.
Yeah, very true. Just, the way I do it just seems to work for me. Maybe it'll make sense to you guys, but if I can take the money that I have, and it's more than enough to buy that truck that I want, and buy a house with it, the tenants will pay for both, and why not do it? So I'll probably continue to do that forever. So there's always another toy around the corner.
Right. Someday you're going to make enough money to go on dates, but it's not worth it. So you're literally listening to somebody who might know the name Robert Kiyosaki, because I've said it so many times, has heard of the book Rich Dad Poor Dad, but hasn't read it, because the only books I think that David reads are Louis L'Amour.
Oh, he's a good writer.
I think you've read some Dean Koontz though.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so David does like to read, but just nothing finance, nothing real estate. It's not necessary, especially now with as much information that comes in. We can make this business as simple or as complex as we want. And the simpler sometimes, the better.
There you go.
So, good job not punching me on live video.
Oh, wait till you shut the
I know. All right, I'm just making sure there's no questions that I'm not missing here. If there's any other questions, please put them in the chat, and then we'll get to them. This is a time where you have so we're 37 minutes into this. We'll be wrapping up here in probably like 10 minutes or so. If you're in the course, the live course video happens in 22 minutes. So in 22 minutes, we'll have the live course video. And I did talk about this in my live stream on Tuesday. Since some people purchased the course and there were some email snafus, because I'm me on a new platform trying to figure it out, I'm going to be doing more than the 4 that I talked about for the course launch. So I'm going to have a couple more Saturday live streams like this for the course, to go in a Zoom meeting, into your situation, talk about your options. And that happens. So if you're in the course, remember that it is in the Mighty Networks. It's a Zoom that recurs every Saturday right now. So that will just be me. David will be off finding all the beer you can drink for free for today.
Oh, I don't know, that gal at the entrance to the museum, she looked playful. I'll let you know if I need the room later.
With the hostel, you can get another room.
Oh, yes, I guess
There might be 5 people in there with you. But if you ever get a chance to travel with family members, it's very different when you're adults than when you were kids and one was just a boy who built a freaking plywood airplane and threw you off the barn twice. I
thought he would fly. Oh, it was fun.
It was not fun. Every time I tell people that story, they don't believe it, because we didn't have cameras when we were kids.
Right.
Plywood. And no, he didn't take an aerodynamics course. It was flat plywood. The shape of an airplane with a whole person in the middle.
I don't know how you landed under it. You're supposed to go on top of it.
When you're that age, there's nothing you can do, but you end up under it. Lumberjack landlord, howdy. How to make your travels tax deductible by Dion. This is absolutely true. This entire trip, other than maybe the kayaking to the Benadryl caves, although I did record some live streams in there or some shorts.
Sure.
Maybe. Yeah, there was no other way to get in there because even if you take the boat, they don't get off in there. Every aspect of this trip is a tax write-off. 100%. I'm here for real estate. I'm here for YouTube. I'm here to educate myself on the real estate landscape here. And even though I'm not going to buy property here, this was a trip with expenses associated with my source of income that is real estate. No, all-nighter, David. The second time wasn't after corrections. Okay, this is an overshare. I'm gonna blame it on the Coke, but in the can, Coke in a can. David is the oldest of the brothers. And there were times where my mom, who was like 4'10", 4'11", hit him in the head with a 2x4 because of what he was doing to me and my brother. So the airplane was one of the nicer things.
That hurt, man.
I know, she took you out. We were definitely the generation that played outside and got beat. And if you hear the belt going between 7 belt loops, and you knew you were about to get. Yeah,
I deserve most of it, I'll admit.
yeah, I agree.
But she's gone now.
I know. No, my mom was awesome. Mom, I miss you. I miss you too, Dad. My mom always promised to kill me first when Armageddon came because she was Catholic and I was a heathen. So, JR, how much do you keep tabs on what's happening in Washington regarding if new laws would affect your portfolio?
Wow.
He's thinking there are laws.
No, actually, for me in Washington State, I have a property management company, so I let them worry about all that. Just simpler and easier, gives me more time to just go and play and search for the next rental. Good question, though. I don't know how to answer you. I'm not the numbers person. I don't keep on top of that the way I should.
So here's a great example of how simple things can be or how complicated it can be. David, tell me 2 things about a Republican and 2 things about a Democrat. Go ahead.
Wow. Well, they don't like each other.
Okay, there's one, not a fact. Factual. That was good.
One side's worth listening to and the other one isn't. Is that 3 now? And I know they get my tax money and don't earn a damn penny of it.
Okay, you got me. Tell me something that's different about each one. So until I was 40, I couldn't have told you anything about Republicans, Democrats, votes, bills, how, I mean, we had the Saturday cartoon when we were kids about how a bill becomes a law and the kid dancing on the steps with some creepy looking newspaper thing. But once I reached 40 and I started working at the CDL school and I became the president of the Northwest Career Colleges Federation. So it's 112 vocational schools in the CDL school. I got really heavily involved with politics and I went and testified for the higher ed committee, the transportation committee, and I learned to track bills, the websites to look at them, which legislators were friendly for businesses, which ones are retarded and somehow stay in office. So I pay attention because of my experience with the CDL school. To let you know about our family, our social security numbers are all the same except for the last digit, because when I was 17, I went to join the Marine Corps and none of us had socials. My family kind of almost disowned me because all of a sudden we all had to get socials because now Big Brother knew who we were. So our family's not too big into laws and regulations. Our dad actually told us it was kind of dumb to own properties because then the government knows where you are. I've shared your story several times of dad seeing your first rentals and saying, wow, people will rent anything.
Yeah.
Which they will. They will rent anything. You were right.
Yeah, that's true. You don't have to build something up to your standards to get it rented. You can go beyond your standards if you want to, but there are people just looking for a nice, clean home where everything works.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be fancy.
What I go with is safe, clean, functional. That's my goal with it.
Makes sense.
So I've stayed on top of laws in Washington State. Like this last year, one went to committee, Bill 1388 on rent control. I made about an 8-minute video on how rent control makes owners extremely wealthy and makes renters homeless. Sent it out, had people share it with legislators, had 3. That's 3, David, because you know, had 3. Because I'm in England, I'm trying to learn United States, 3 versus 3. Apparently that's a different thing here.
Yeah.
But Legislators reach out and we had conversations on the benefits of rent control for landlords and how it penalizes tenants. And so it never made it out of committee. So I'm not saying I impacted the bill, but I'm saying their research might have impacted how that committee looked at the bill. Because it really does. It makes landlords a ton of money. 3 of David's rentals, at least 3, are in California, where there's rent control. And that's why you're able to travel in Portugal right now and not. It's like Millennial Mike said, it really sucks having to live our tenants paycheck to paycheck. Give him credit for that. So I'm tracking the bills on regulations. I do know things that change in King County and Seattle because it's kind of like a poison that spreads to the rest of the state. I think people should pay attention to the laws in areas because some things can change. And in some areas, you can't charge a pet deposit because by definition, unless you refund it, a deposit is refundable. So saying that if something is a non-refundable pet deposit voids your entire lease because of severability. The entire thing has to be a legal document. And if that thing is not legal, you get tossed out, the whole lease tossed out in an eviction. So if you don't know your local laws, and there's actually something I took from David. It's I've learned a lot from David, but it's one of the things that's really impacted my real estate portfolio. Is David told me, he was probably 4 or 5 years ago, that you went to an attorney and you asked the attorney, hey, if I ever go through an eviction, it's probably going to be with you. Is there anything you would want in my lease to make your job easier? So I went and did that with HBJ in Thurston County, and they gave me a couple of things to add to my lease. So in your area, go find an eviction attorney, maybe retain them, maybe pay them $100, $150 or whatever to just say, you're the attorney I would use if I have an eviction. So do some research, make sure that they have a good record and a good reputation, and ask them. You are in Gary, Indiana. You are in Thurston County, Washington. You are in Florida. Wherever you're investing in their court system that they operate in daily, what can you add to your lease to make it stronger to help you when you have your eviction? So, Robert, howdy. No guys in dresses running around in the back. Almost thought I was in the wrong place. So we found about 10. And when we were in Albee Fair, there was about 10 different guys wearing dresses running around. And we found out that's the bachelor party event here. They cross-dress for the event. They go out and yeah, that's why we saw so many guys in dresses.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. I asked one waiter what that was all about, and he said they're gay for a day. And they know just put on dresses. It's high heels and jewelry and wigs and
it is so fun when you're traveling with such a homophobe to see something like that. And I will not show pictures on YouTube, but there are other people going around to the bachelorette parties because Albee Fair is like a big nightlife town. If you're coming here and you're under 50 and you want to have a great time, I think Albee Fair is the place to go. Everything else is pretty calm outside of that city. As far as, yeah. So there was Willy Wonka.
Oh, don't bring him up. Come on.
So a guy in a superhero costume with a stuffed giant Willy, which you could say in the US. That means something else somewhere else.
Right.
And you just embarrass the crap out of your brother by going and get a picture with him.
Oh, man.
And he dies inside a little because he's such a homophobe. Like, you do drink a lot of beer. Do you have a problem with a guy dressed as a girl being on Bud Light? And you're happy that Bud Light lost a bunch of money because they put a trans person on there?
Yeah, I do that.
So we just pissed off the left, I understand, but now we're going to piss off the right and say that's almost like having black women on syrup or an Indian on a baseball team
there.
or or an American native on a butter, right?
Yeah.
Everybody's stupid, okay? Both sides. All right, we can agree on that.
I suppose.
Okay. All right. Duchess, having properties and living in both Colorado and Florida, I can say that both parties were unchecked power can screw up a state. Love it. Yeah. And all night says not much difference between the two. They both suck. Learned ASL a long time ago. Oh. Nice. Thanks, all nighter. Think that was it for the questions. We'll probably be wrapping up there because I've got to get ready for the course live stream. A little disappointed that the murder guy didn't come to the window again during the talk here. Okay. Anything you would like to wrap up with?
Oh, not really. I think I've said it all.
Okay. About out of words.
I am just pretty much out of words.
I
gotta
gotta
say, just, give it a try. After your first rental, it does get easier. First one is the most difficult. But once you get a little bit of money coming in from a rental, for me, it just inspired me to get another one.
Best last comment of the night here from a young lady. Howdy, David is so good looking.
Wow, hey, I like you.
There you go. And after the video, I will tell him the name of who said that.
Very good.
Steve or John or Gary.
Oh,
Kidding. Told you about the phobia thing. Thank you, Chesla. I think he's good looking too. And like I said, I'm just here for the chick shrapnel. If you can reach financial freedom and your biggest struggle is, what do I do with my time? I think life is a lot more interesting. And you are going to be alive in 5 years. Whatever you do, you're going to be here in 5 years. You might as well start investing like it. I had one thought I wanted to wrap up with, but I think I've got it. And until my next video, thanks for coming to my Dion Talk.
Bye.
I think about 3 things you want to hit me for.
You put me under the bus with the Democrat Republican shit. Right, that thing is, God, he's an idiot.
No, it was